Hello and welcome, and this is my new segment. I'm gonna call it the bunker. The idea sparked in my head today, actually. I felt like, you ever feel like you sit down with yourself and you feel like, I am gonna combust? But for the time being, I want to focus on the segment and what I want to do. So I wanted this bunker to be kind of like an audio log of what I feel is deep noting in this audio library that I am planning to fill up, hopefully, if I get the ability to stay consistent. Self-deprecation aside, I don't think it's gonna be that long, so don't you worry. Um, so first off, let me try and wrap up what I have been doing, honestly. I think to pick up from where I was, I picked up skateboarding, which was kind of cool. I tried to learn it. I had to put the knee pads, like the kids' knee pads, and waddle around, and I felt, God, I felt like I was skating with a wedgie, like up apparent, like I had a wedgie with neon underpants, and it just felt so unbecoming. And the worst thing is that we had kid neighbors, and they had this scooter thing, and they would just zoom past me, and then I had to just kind of like try to skate in front of them, and then they would start like bugging you, and then they'll ask you where you got it, and I'm like, oh man, like now I have to have this conversation with these people. Um, but they're cute kids, which is alarming, how easy you could just like total yourself with this mode of transportation. It's kind of like with the correlation, you would expect people to just move away from it, but I found out that it's actually pretty expressive and it's very dope. I don't know any tricks yet, and it doesn't seem like I will learn any until like the next winter. Definitely until next winter, because where I live, summers they get super duper hot. Um, I remember last summer we got up to like 50 degrees Celsius. I'm not gonna switch that on Fahrenheit, but it's pretty damn hot. It's pretty damn hot. Um, yeah, I bonded with some friends, and then they started skateboarding, and it was kind of cool. We had a whole posse of just fucking skateboarding people. And I remember one time I was hanging with my new made friends, and we were like skateboarding in the commune somewhere, and this person was just like yelling at us, and then he said, I get it, you guys were young and whatever. I thought that was kind of fun. I don't know. I feel like every time I'm referred to as being young, I feel like I'm doing something right. And I don't know if that's something I should just snap out of, honestly. Um, I'm just worried that this whole connotation of reaffirmation is just out of a negative faucet, and I don't want that to be the case. I like to imagine that I like how I am in heavy version, whether be it like all the way from 21 up until like I'm 34. I guess I'm still like pretty good, right? I should say that. Yeah, I should definitely say that. Anyways, um, what else did I do? I tried to get in contact with people that I didn't do. I cut off a shit ton of people. I cut off a lot of people. Um, Also another major difference is that I used to spend 90% of my time just watching Twitter, and that's not the case anymore. It's a ruthless cycle, and I just don't know how I stepped out of it, because like when I think about it, and I think about the time that I was using Twitter, it was static. I was ecstatic about like debating people on Twitter and just talking about stuff. And now it just doesn't seem to be my forte. Like I like interacting with people. It's my joy in life. I love just having somebody semi-interesting and just have them blabber, I would love to just listen to them forever and just, not forever. Um, I would usually my golden rule is like 40 minutes. 40 minutes. That's it. I am. Um, s- what is? How would I want to describe this? I am almost certain. That took a while. But yeah, I am almost certain that I am an extrovert. The only problem I have, some sort of doubt, is the fact that I think that I don't really understand the whole concept of extroverts and introverts. Um, and I just, I think what I knew is that some people do recharge in social settings, and some people recharge being alone, right? I definitely feel like I recharge in a social setting, although I have a lot of like, how do I call it? I don't think it's it's not social anxiety. I definitely don't have that. I feel like uh I would absorb a lot. So the tricky part for me was just filtering through the people, that I would consider calling friends. At the beginning, where I came from, have like a lot of family members around, and that's kind of like how people get into like meeting people. They're just like kind of like fathered in. For me, I just really disliked every person in my family roster, the way they act. I disliked their banter. I disliked their interactions. I disliked their culture. I disliked everything. Being cast away like that and then trying to find friends is such. It's something that is way harder than it should be. It's something like it. It amazes me how hard it is to just find friends in a world where there's like a populace of 8 billion people and internet. Man, like I would imagine sometimes. Um, I would imagine what if other animals got to be uh like this kind of like human type of a race, right? None of them would. I feel like none of them would have that kind of shit. Like if we had dogs that are like humans, dude, they'd be like sniffing each other's butts all day, dude. And it's just. Let me go back to what Twitter. Twitter confused the shit out of me. Dude, it's so fun to fidget with this mic. I don't know, like Twitter confused the shit out of me. Um, at the beginning, I loved it to bits. I loved the concept. It was very Foucault. The concept of just uh, the concept of just 140 characters. It was so interesting. It made sense philosophically and design-wise, um, and because Foucault was like I'm pretty sure it was like a duke in France or something, and one of his like prominent um, I don't know how to describe it. One of his prominent image is that like uh, his books are very small. He likes to just grab your attention as fast as possible, and he thinks that uh, I think something along. I'm not sure, but something along the lines of that. If you are in front of people, it is your job to make sure you are maintaining their attention, which is completely contradictory to what I am doing right now. But I still like it nonetheless. And um, uh, isn't anybody else disappointed in how this whole COVID thing has been happening? Like seeing humanity in 4K just being so clumsy. I don't know what to think about it, honestly. I just, it's like, what if we were attacked by a pathogen? Like, let's say there's an alien scenario and there's this pathogen that just is hard to detect, dude. We wouldn't stand a chance. We are so clumsy, and I think it's kind of fitting because we're so fragile too. We're fragile and we're so clumsy Man, like most animals don't take too long to mature because their brain is just like all primary sensors and man, the brain is one heck of a machine, huh? Uh, I miss movies, you know. Um, I know it's such a common thing to say these days, and it's so cool to hate on movies these days. But man, it's been a long while, huh? It's been a long, rowdy, fucking janky ass road. This whole Hollywood bullshit. It's been seeping on everything. Games, music, video games, and just it's well, like it's kind of like the nature of the beast. I'm not sure if I'm just being biased. Maybe there are like a lot of movies, and I always thought like I shouldn't think like the more the population, the better the product is, like the better the state of that kind of thing is gonna happen. And these days it just feels like it's on a contrary. This decade just feels like cyberpunk, but without the cool shit. That is kind of like sad because cyberpunk itself wasn't really good. The most thing I was disappointed at is just how easy it was to integrate everything through internet. Man, could you guys just imagine if we went all the way to 2030 probably and there was no COVID, right? We would still be doing like the old-fashioned way. I don't know, I feel like I feel like the integration to internet for everything wasn't supposed to be that hard. Um, I just the stem of my disappointment is just it's kind of like adorable how how we humans are just such like we're such boards of Jenga, dude. We just crumble. That's all we do. I stem my judgment on like just hyperbolic like articles. I would bring up the articles, but I think just like I said, I wanted this to be like out of internet. And honestly, I am a lazy bum, and I don't want to research anything. I just want to sit here and talk. Like it's an awkward position for me to just talk. So, but I'm not gonna wane. Um, I promised myself I will do this, so I gotta have to do this. Um, hmm. I hate starting the conversation with we can talk about because the lead up just like it just heightens the expectations so high. I rather just stay quiet and then just like come up with something, you know. Sometimes I hate people who talk with the back of the throat like this, and and when I think about that, and I go like, why do I hate this so much? Um, and I realize that it's not. I don't really know. But I kind of do. I think just it's kind of similar to having a terrible handshake, where you're just like super limp, or like having wet hands and just shaking. Oh man, dude, I hate people with like I hate when people have wet hands and they shake your hand. Now, I don't know what water is that. But yeah, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about like people who just like talk with the like, hey, I wanted to say that this is something that I hate. I just don't like that. It could be a couple of things. There's something that I like to do. Um, I would like to. The first thing I would like to implement is that whenever I try to sit with somebody and talk to them, the first thing that comes in my head is that hey, since I'm sitting with this person, I probably respect them as much as I respect myself, and this is the golden rule, and this is what you're supposed to do. So when I see someone do that, I can't help but think that they already had that pact with themselves, which is not the case. It's it's as much as that thing annoys me. What annoyed me more is how long it took me to realize that this is just an internal thing. And sometimes I think about like, oh, can someone live without any pet peeves? And what would his life be like? this person, this mystery person, uh, what would his life be like, or what would their life be like? Um, Also, I started like implementing, um, trying to not assume people's genders, because like honestly, I don't care about it. Okay, that's not true. I care so much about it. Actually, it's an interesting subject. Kind of like brainstorming around the idea and why it's essential and why we are doing this right now and right here. And it's I try to implement that and do that more. What's sad is that there's a lot of stereotypes that are being overblown by the vocal minority. I remember I like. Okay, let's have an interjection and just jump to a new subject. Um, what do I want to talk? I think like I want to touch a lot on Twitter, because from the last period I had to sit and talk about things. Twitter was my main focus and main things, and now I really don't use that website. I use it sometimes, send memes to my friends, look at memes, I retweet something cute or funny, but sometimes I would find people who would take offense to stuff, and sometimes I would find people who would champion stuff that shouldn't be championed. I am able to stop myself from just being annoyed about one instance, but if you have a whole timeline of just people doing like ranky danky shit, and it's just it damages you. It makes you a more agitated person. Whether you whether you consciously deflate it in your head or not, I feel like it does have an effect. And also, maybe I should have like connotated this before I started, but like I will keep talking about stuff even though I don't really know much about them. I'm sick of listening to people who know what they're talking about, right? And this time I just want to listen to someone who maybe knows what he's talking about, maybe doesn't. And I would gladly be that person. Um, so yeah, back to the whole Twitter thing. I remember I saw like this one tweet. I think uh, Priyanka Chopra. But mainly, uh, she said something stupid as like, my dad used to sing in a masjid. It's birthed out of ignorance, and it's fine. It's totally fine. That's how people improve. They just say something ignorantly, and then someone corrects them, and then they either accept it because the person had a good way of saying this kind of stuff, or they just decline it because the person was a jerk, or someone is just insecure, and that's. I just listen to this every 2 minutes. I don't know why. Uh, like, okay, I get it if you were gonna defend some celebrities. Um, I think it's super okay. I understand that completely and fully. Um, sure, we don't know these people. There's certain things that they're doing, and we kind of associate with it. So that's, I think, enough, for you to just be agitated about. Um, I hate people who start conversations by just ragging on the medium of something, and I don't like that rhetoric. It's always beneficial to just go into, in my opinion at least, I think it's always more beneficial to just go into a path of how you got to this conclusion instead of just the conclusion itself, you know. Because that's important, because getting to the conclusion is more important than the conclusion itself. Um, what can I blabber about? I can blabber about the new friends I got. Um, so yeah, like I said, I stopped using Twitter altogether. Like, I didn't stop to using Twitter altogether, but I reduced the amount I use Twitter to a crawling halt. It became too intolerable. I got to a point where like I muted the word men. It just bothered me. So you would jump into the comments and you would find this like the Arabic side of Twitter is just static, that like any kind of thing could just have, like any kind of news could just bring a different sect of people. I have to be able, I have to stop myself every 10 minutes, because I think after the 10-minute mark I go into super gibberish ramble mode. I feel like the best thing I could do if I want to be a feminist is just to platforms a feminist who is actually um like who is feminine, or is a woman, or is, you know. Ironically, I found a lot of pushback towards that. Um, a lot of people actually thought that what I'm saying is pretty benign and didn't make any sense, but I don't know how it doesn't make any more sense than it does. But what I want to talk about is just the amount of people just talking in their cars. I wanted to do a video back then. I wanted to just compile a whole video of people um, talking in their cars, just like saying random ass shit, which annoyed me to the point. I think that's kind of like why I started. I just looked at the state of celebrities and people who are being spokespeople of this current region or this current area, and all of them, they were just either super shallow, or had like very draconian, archaic way of thinking. And I thought, hey, you know what? If I want some change, I better be the change. But it became overwhelming. Every other video, every other like tweet, you would find someone in their video just talking about how women should do things, and God, it's just, I don't know, like, because like what bothers, what makes it so hard to comprehend in my head is just like, I think about it like, okay, if they are supplying these kind of videos, there should be someone who is demanding these kind of videos. But the way that Twitter is put, it's just like, I don't think people, like, I don't think it works on demand as much as, like, as traditional as I think it is, you know. That aside, I think I've talked a lot about Twitter, and now that my intake in Twitter is just so minimal, I feel rejuvenated. I feel ready to do things. I feel happy about things. I removed my schedule of just like lurking into the timeline of Twitter and just wondering what these people are doing, into like actually forming like a kind of like a Discord community among people that I do actually like. And man, they mean the world to me now. I've got a bunch of people who are friends, and a bunch of people who were like that we just like bonded over just being able to we bond about a lot of things, honestly. Everybody has their own corner, everybody has this own things that they obsess about, and it became like a support system that was super fucking awesome. And the hardest part about it, honestly, is just not catching yourself taking things for granted. Man, the amount of times that I just like, the thing that like sends me unaware is just, I try to imagine myself before having like uh this number of people, this Discord that I like kind of concocted. I just imagine my life before that, and just how miserable I was, and it just agitates me just thinking about it. Um, I now that I think about it, I had a certain procedure where like would have people, and I would just like make them so ugly in my head, just so that I would feel easy to just like cut them off. And that when I realized that that was my default way of dealing with things, I had to do like I had to shake things up, and I had to just like limit something. I know a lot of people were saying like, I'll limit your social media intake, but I was like, hey man, like what the hell am I gonna do in the middle of a pandemic? Get real. I'm not gonna stop using social media in the middle of a pandemic. Like, this is literally the time for it. But yeah, I was angsty and agitated, and I was just like unhappy. And let me just jump on something else for the time being. Do you guys have any? Do you guys have any attributes about yourself that you go like, oh God, after this many years of living, I would hope I would just get better at that, but I'm not. Because I think my problem is just I'm such a terrible judge of character. I don't have it in me. I can't really guess what kind of person I am talking with, and I'm hoping this would change. Honestly, I've been realizing that I've been more perceptive. What's really what's really confusing about this situation is the fact that I am pretty good at reading rooms. If I can sense that some people are agitated just by looking at them, but at the same time, I don't like. I'm so bad at judging their characters. And I don't mean like I want to be judgy and bigoted and all that. No, I mean like perceptively understanding what that person's character is. It's an activity that I just am horrid at. And but like I but another thing I feel like that's getting better is like I feel like my perception is kind of getting better. About 5 years ago, I was in the worst part. I was in the worst side of my life, dude. I was messed up. I was unhappy. I was military. I was in a circle of toxic friends, and I was in a relationship with someone, and it wasn't working out. We were just like thorns to each other. And I remember I would stick with these toxic friends, even though I realize how toxic they are, and I would just stick with them. What's astonishing to me is that when people say like, "Oh, you gotta figure out your values and morals," right? And I think that's a very important thing. Like that's something that you need to figure out. Any certain person who doesn't have like the sets of morals and principles to live by, you are looking at life in such a unfavored angle. Yeah, I had enough with this whole Twitter tangent. Um, yeah, and this should be it for the time being. I had fun doing this, and I'll try to do this on a weekly basis. I don't know if that's gonna burn me out or not. I hope it doesn't. And maybe I will just have some notes throughout the week, right? I'll try to be I'll try to be more concise with what I want to do. I would say expect me in a week or in 2 weeks. I'm still not very settled on this. So with that, I'm just gonna end it. I hope that I didn't ramble a lot. I'm pretty sure I ramble a lot, but I hope that I didn't. I'll definitely try to keep this a habit. But yeah, for the time being, everybody, I hope you just stay golden. I'll meet you guys in another bunker shelter. And peace.